On with my bestie, Nikki. Nikki, how are you?
I'm so good. I'm so happy to see you.
I know. We've both been crazy busy.
I know. I feel like it's so funny. I just got a message from a listener today who was like, "Hey, I miss you on the podcast. Like, everything okay?" And it just hit me. I was like, "Yeah, this is like just a classic case of like life getting in the way and like being a really busy season for both you and I, like at work and with family. And I guess it just be like that sometimes."
So I'm the opposite. People message me and they're like, what's going on with the podcast? You guys are okay? I'm like, no, Nikki's tired of my shit. She's done with me.
Oh my God, yeah, right. I actually was so excited when we finally were able to coordinate tonight because I was like, this is like a really beautiful, lovely time for me to just like turn my brain off and be social and pull me away from work because I'm in that just like the end of the year is so busy with for me at work that like I'll like work all day, get up, go get the baby from daycare, like run to the gym maybe if I have time, and then work all night. And it blows, but it's just like that toward the end of the year.
I'm sure I was going to ask you about that. How do you manage this? People ask me all the time, like they're like, "How do you manage all the things you're doing?" And I'm one guy with no spouse and no real life, and your mom, wife, you the boss bitch, do this podcast, and then occasionally you do some fitnessing in the middle of all
Sometimes.
that. Like, how do you manage
Sometimes.
all that?
Poorly right
That's
now.
not true. That's not true.
Truly, like, usually I do feel like I have a decent balance and I, like, set really solid boundaries between, like, work and personal life, and as the owner of my company, I'm like, that's really important for me, for my employees too, like, to make sure that they, like, have, you know, breaks and time off, and, like, it's just, like, it's so important because I never had that at my old job and I burnt out, but the sad reality of working in marketing, working in e-com during the holiday season is like Black Friday is our Super Bowl. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's real rough. And we all just go into this season knowing that it's going to be a lot of work. And we try to make up for it on the back end. So the balance right now is, it's crap. It doesn't
Mhm.
exist, but I commit to it for 2 months, knowing it's our busiest season. And then, we get a really nice, not really a break. Like work is always busy, but it's definitely less demanding
Yeah.
after the new year.
How do you and Matt handle it as a married couple? Like, I mean, I'm gonna say out loud, like, kudos to him. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
I'm thinking tonight I need to send him a extra special Christmas gift for all the time he's letting me pull you away from the family in the middle of all this. But I still know it's hard as a married couple or just any couple for that matter when you're trying to manage a lot of different things and it starts interfering with life. Like, how's he managing it?
Yeah, he likes to say that he's watering his investment by
Right,
supporting me in my work and all the things that I do as the primary breadwinner now with owning this company. He doesn't mind. No, he's always been just like my absolute most supportive cheerleader. Even when I was starting this company and I was like, I don't know, like I don't know how to do this. Who said I could do whatever and own a business? And that's insane.
right.
He was always the one to be like, yes, absolutely you can. Like, what are you thinking? Of course. So it's definitely like it's a lot, and we split responsibilities. I mean, I still this is the crazy thing, and he doesn't listen to this, so it's not gonna I was gonna say I hope it doesn't come off like I'm shitting on Matt because that's not the point, but he doesn't listen, so he won't care. But I still do most of the baby care as well.
Sure.
You can't I just feel like you can't not, and you know this, John, because you are
Yeah,
like the world's best dad and the world's most involved dad, but at some point in time, like especially now when the baby's, one, I guess he's not a baby anymore, but he's like kind of a barnacle on mom.
yeah, yeah.
There's no way around it. Like it is what it is. Even if Matt is like, just go work and I'll take him for the afternoon, he might wail until I hold him. So I'm kind of just doing both.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. I mean, like, that changes as they get older for whatever that's worth. I mean, right now you're in the stage where he needs you more than he'll ever need
Yeah.
you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I shouldn't say ever, but maybe ever. I don't know.
Still partially for survival. I'm still breastfeeding too. And so there's
Yeah,
a part of that connection that is still like, and he'll nurse for comfort. Like right now, it's a great example. He's sick. It's probably fucking RSV because everyone's kid has RSV right now. And he
yeah.
like got sent home from daycare today with a fever and a cough. Um, and so he'll like still nurse for cut, like not as much because I kind of just nurse him in the morning and at night now, but he'll still nurse for comfort. So if he's sick,
Yeah.
like there's no one else that can take care of him, you know?
Yeah, yeah. No, I get that. How are you finding
So
time for CrossFit?
I don't as much.
No?
Well, and I like it sucks because it's so good for my mental health, but it's definitely a season of life where I'm working. Like if I can get in like 3 workouts a week, I'm doing pretty good, you
Yeah.
know? And I do still coach once a week too. So
Have you readjusted your goals, or do you just go in and just have fun? Like, how are you addressing it?
I don't have goals at the moment. Like it's a win if I get a workout in.
Well, that's a
So
goal. That's a good goal.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I mean like performance goals. Like I'm
Yeah.
not, I think I've been in a weird spot anyway for a few months where like at the end of the summer, I was like feeling really good. And like I was maybe in my rebuilding season and kind of like aiming for numbers and benchmarks that I had before I was pregnant. And then like simultaneously things got really busy at work and we were talking about having another kid. So I'm like, why am I even going to
Right.
get freaking pregnant again at some point. Not right now, but like maybe soon. I don't know.
Yeah. Like,
So,
Ben and I were talking about this the other night. Someone had given us a question. They felt frustrated because they had a lack of goals because they weren't getting in the gym as often, and
mm,
we had a lot of debate around it. And I think we landed on, like, who cares about goals? Sometimes you just need to go.
yeah.
Don't worry about whether you're setting PRs or lifting more weight. Like, sometimes just showing up is enough.
Yeah, for sure. I think the season of life really matters. And I think that like the longer and you and Ben probably have excellent perspective on this and I think I do too, but like the longer you're in CrossFit, the more of this like up and down. It's like some when you first start you're super motivated and someone has to stop you from coming to the gym 2 times a day and then you like go, on the downswing and you're like, okay, like I'm just here to like look good naked and then you're like, oh, actually I want to like track macros and understand and then you're like, oh, actually I just want to like go out on Friday night with my friends, like whatever it is. I mean, even you're in a like very competitive season of life right now. It's okay that it's like
Yeah.
not always like that 24/7, but like how's your gauntlet prep going?
It's brutal. I'm sore all
Yeah.
over. It's going really well. I'm the fittest I've ever been with 9
Dang.
weeks to go. Um, so I think we've done a nice job of setting up the right nutrition and the right workout strategy. And so now we're actually upping the calories and
Really?
starting to focus on, kind of tweaking the workouts to be more, I don't know. I could nerd out on all the little things we're working on, but like today was a good example. We just identify weaknesses in workouts and then we program them for the next week and target them. So today was shoulder fatigue, turned out to be a weakness that we hadn't hit yet. And I'm like, all right, well, guess what we're doing next week is stringing together some workouts. I'm going to show more shoulder fatigue.
Do
Uh,
those things come back in your training, John? Like when you shoulder fatigue is a great example. Like you've identified it, you're going to work on it next week. Are you also going to work on it like in 3 weeks or
we'll work on it for the next 9 weeks. Like
bless you?
yeah, well, we're figuring out the areas where I've made a lot of improvements. Like my kind of cardio engine's through the roof right now, best it's ever
Okay, cool.
been. And so from that aspect, we'll keep doing bike, ski erg, bike erg, whatever, to keep double unders, all the cardio movements. We'll keep doing those to keep the engine up, but really start working on different combination factors that maybe we haven't addressed yet. Like today was dumbbell thrusters and double unders after doing rowing and burpees for 24 minutes. And so by the time I got to the dumbbell thrusters and the double unders and got into the dubs, I'm just tripping hand over fist. Like it was terrible, and I'm pretty good at
Yeah,
dubs.
of
So
course, of
it was
course.
like, oh man, my shoulders are smoked. And so it's just, kind of looking back on those workouts and figuring out where I need to, what I need to address the most is all we're focused on. But, a lot of it, honestly, is just nutrition. Like
Yeah.
the workout piece is like, you just have to put the work in and figure it out. The nutrition piece is the hard stuff because you're doing that 24/7.
Mhm.
And that's been really successful. Like I'm at this point, I did an in-body scan yesterday. I'm at 180 pounds, which is
That's lean for you. That's very lean, right?
that's actually so remember our running joke about the photo with the abs? I weighed
Yeah.
about 170 in that photo.
Right.
So I weigh 180 right now, but it's about 9% body fat.
Oh, dang.
So I look like that photo, but 10 pounds heavier. So I've put on muscle, which is good.
Stronger. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, so the nutrition piece has been really helpful. Um, it took a while for me to kind of get in the groove, but now that I'm in the groove, it's a no brainer. Like I'm
It's
going to
easy.
Cincinnati tomorrow to see Meg and take Mira down for her 21st birthday, and went to the grocery store tonight and bought all my food. My hotel room has a full kitchen in it. I know it doesn't sound sexy or fun, but we'll go out to dinner and I'll, have a nice dinner with them and whatever. But the other meals, I'm going to eat healthy and just make it part of the training. You
Wait,
know.
sidebar. Your daughter is 21.
Well, if you check both their IDs, they both are.
Yeah,
But
that's fine. That's totally appropriate.
yeah, she's 21. It's hard to believe. 21 today.
Unreal. That's your baby. What the
I know.
what?
I know. Don't remind me. I feel old. It's crazy.
What does her celebration entail?
She's
Like,
such a nerd. Such a nerd.
I love that.
Well, all of her presents were nerdy stuff. Dungeons and Dragons things,
So
Minecraft
cool.
stuff,
So
gaming
cool. She's
stuff.
so cool. She's like absolutely like my cool goals.
Some sweatshirt, and I didn't even know what it was. And she's like, "Oh, this is a YouTuber that does gaming." I'm like, "Okay, whatever. Just whatever you want, babe."
Cool. Cool. Cool.
Um, and but we'll go down. We're gonna go down there and have dinner together tomorrow, me and both the girls, and we'll do some shopping, and then they'll go out Friday night together without me. And then Saturday, I'm gonna try to find a gym, and then during the day, we're gonna go watch Ole Miss Alabama at a bar and sit around and drink beers together. And hopefully, it's a good game. We'll see how long we're at the bar. And then we'll probably do dinner Saturday night, and then they'll go out again, the two of them, and do college stuff, and I'll go back to the hotel. And Sunday we'll get up and have breakfast together, and then me and Mira will come home, and Megan will stay at college.
It's really fun. That's really fun.
Yeah,
That's
it'll
just
be
it's
good.
wild. Those are adults.
They are adults. I love getting them together, though. For whatever reason, I just sleep better when they're together than when
Really?
they're apart like this. Yeah, there's something about Megan not being here just doesn't feel right. Yeah,
That's so interesting.
yeah, it's just weird. But I mean, we text all the time, and
Yeah.
she sends me songs and memes, all that stuff.
Memes that are funnier than yours?
No, no,
Oh,
no.
of course
No,
not.
she
No.
says good stuff. We're like any family. We have inside jokes, so we send inside joke stuff. Like
Got it.
it's just it's fun. So
That's awesome.
yeah, so we'll have a good time.
Wow. I can't believe that. That's just
Yeah,
it's
it's nuts. It is nuts. So we'll do a little bit of that, and then I'll come back and get back to work. back
right.
back into the gym Monday morning. Just like that.
Well, it's coming up. I mean, like, do you
Yeah.
feel like because this has been a lot of dedication, like you said, like sometimes you have goals, sometimes you don't. But the goal that you set to get this gauntlet done and feel good about your performance, like this has been like a long-term
Mhm.
goal. It wasn't just like you signed up and it's in a month. Like you've kind of been dedicated. So do you feel like it's been worth it so far? I know you haven't done
Oh
it yet.
yeah.
I'm not, but like, do you feel like the effort you're putting in is like giving you some sort of output that you can feel happy about, you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, there are definitely pros and cons. I think on the pro side, I feel better than I've ever felt before. I'm still on the sober train for whatever that's worth, and non-alcoholic beer here with me tonight.
Hmm.
Um, and so I feel way better in that regard. Just physically more energy, sleeping better. So I anticipate carrying that over well after Wadapalooza and the Open, and sticking with this nutrition plan because it
Cool.
it seems to work for me, and I like the way my clothes fit and the way I feel, and I've learned a lot through that. So that's the pro side of it. The negative side, and this is a weird negative, but because I'm far fitter, I can do things I couldn't do before. And like this week, I've had a moment where I've been hyper sore because I had a couple of benchmark workouts where I went really hard to see
Mhm.
how I could score. And I scored really well because I now have the capacity to do it. But then the next day I couldn't move my arms because,
Yeah.
like you just can almost work to failure. So it's kind of a weird moment in that regard. But, and it is more volume of workouts than I anticipate doing long term. Like what I'm doing right now is basically 6 days a week, and I won't do that after the open, I'll switch back to, 4 days a week with 1 day of yoga, or 5 days a week you know, with one of those days being, something very
Yeah.
light.
Yeah.
Just it can't, like, at this age, it's hard to sustain this kind of, heavy work. And, I've had a few tweaks that I haven't had in years, like I mean, obviously I have a whole second show about scaling. And so I'm not doing a
Mhm.
lot of scaling. And the whole reason I started the show was because I want to keep people from feeling injured all the time. And I'm like kind of right on the edge of that. So that's a negative that I don't like
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. It's like, when new people at CrossFit are like, when is this going to get easier? And you just look at
very
them and you're like,
never, it's never going to get easier.
no, because you
But
get fitter. And so you push yourself harder. But again, like just this, you have a short term goal if for anything, you know what I mean? So in this season, like training for that goal and training at that intensity and pushing your body to the limits, like that's the point of right now. And that's okay.
yeah, I find a lot of reward out of it personally. Like I'm, me, like I'm a very, driven person toward any, like whatever I do, I want to do really, really well.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting a lot of, personal pleasure out of learning where my weaknesses are and improving on them. Like today was a good example. Really simple. It was a 60-minute workout, but the first 24 minutes was 15-calorie row, 10 burpees for 12 rounds. You have 2 minutes to complete.
Oof.
And I had about 40 seconds break every single round from the first round to the last round. And it wasn't easy, but I was rowing hard the whole way, and my heart rate never really got over 135. Like,
Wait, you did 15-calorie row and 10 burpees in like a minute and 20 seconds?
yeah, about that.
Like, consistently? That's gross, John.
Yeah.
That's real fast.
Well, like we
That's
did, and we did Chad the other day, which is 1,000 step up
ugh.
time with a weight vest on. I did that in 44 minutes.
How are
You
your legs?
know,
How's
they
your
were
butt?
wrecked.
Yeah,
They were
totally.
wrecked.
Yeah.
That's the point. But that's the point of like where you can, where you can kind of push yourself. Like when you get to as you start seeing improvements, all of a sudden you can start pushing past thresholds you never could
Yeah.
have before, and it's just weird. So I don't know. It's very rewarding on so many levels, but it's just a lot.
Yeah.
Very exhausting. I go to bed most nights at 9 o'clock. Like it's very exhausting.
I need to get on your level.
Well, I mean, but I said before, I don't have, like I have no spouse. My kids are grown. I have a very flexible job where I'm able to squeeze some stuff in where other people couldn't.
Yeah.
I don't own that business like you own yours, so less risk to me in that regard. And you know, I mean, hell, you even have dogs. I have a cat. Like, I don't have to do shit with my cat. I can leave for day. Like, I'm leaving him for 2 days a year.
I
Yeah,
know, and it's funny, like, Thursdays are wild because Matt and I split duties in the morning, and, like, I get the baby ready and take him to daycare, and then Matt takes Griff to daycare.
right.
And Ollie can't go to daycare anymore because he's, like, old, which is sad. But
Aw,
it's just funny. It's like, yeah, I guess even the dogs are you're right, but normally my job is flexible and I can, like, do all the things I wanna do, and what's the point of owning your own business if you can't, like, take a lunch break and go to the gym, but not this quarter.
yeah. Well, it's fourth quarter's hard for everybody, including me. I mean,
Yeah.
I was looking at my calendar for this week, and next couple of weeks coming up, I've got another trip next weekend. I've got a trip, 2 weekends after that. We got a holiday in between that, and then
Mhm.
we're well into December, and I've got a couple trips, and then it's Wadapalooza.
Yep.
So really, like my next 9 weeks are packed, and so
None
I
of those
feel
trips
you.
are to here.
What's that?
How come none of your trips are here?
I know. It's funny you say that. I was just texting back and forth with Meg because her friend is up there, and she was looking for an internship. And I was like, man, I gotta find some time to hop on a plane with Meg and fly up there,
Yeah.
let her visit her friend, and come visit you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, like,
Yeah,
your work is actually here. Like, why
I
are you
yeah,
coming
well,
here?
yeah, but we don't. The pandemic killed all travel for most
Um,
everyone. And I before anyone starts blowing us up in comments or DMs about the pandemic being over, it isn't about that for banks. Once they realize the cost savings of doing
yeah.
Zoom calls and WebEx and all that stuff, like forget about it. They're not going to spend tens of thousands of dollars to fly a bunch of people at my level up to Johnston, Rhode Island, when we can do that whole call, via video.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, just one more thing they have figured out. So we're not
It's
taking
just
the bait.
bananas. That bank headquarters is like literally maybe 4 minutes from my house.
I know. Well,
It's wild.
I'll get up there at some point. I haven't even seen it. I haven't even been there.
Yeah, apparently it's a really nice facility. It's kind of new.
Gotta hope so. For what we spent on it, it better be nice.
You guys know the numbers.
Yeah. I hear it's 100% eco-friendly too.
I heard that. Yeah. I heard there's a nice gym in it. I don't know. I've never been inside.
Yeah. Well, whenever companies build big offices like that, they always put all the amenities. It's nice. I don't know if
Yeah.
any of them use it. It's it's like any corporation. Like there, no one around me, does anything close to CrossFit. I have a couple of people that do Peloton, but for the most part, no one does any kind of exercise. So they can't even wrap their minds around all this stuff.
Yeah.
I'd love to go up there and hit their gym though and start doing a CrossFit workout just so they look at me weird.
No one would be there to look at you.
Yeah, true. There wouldn't be anyone in there. They'd all be
Right.
in the commissary eating donuts probably.
Right. That's where I would be right now too.
That's where I'd rather be right now.
Well,
But
I can't wait. I can't wait to watch you perform at WASA because you've just been working, and I'm just stoked for you to see like how it pays off. And I know that I know your main goal was to like just get out there and not look like an asshole. So I feel like you've definitely already gotten there and surpassed that for
yeah,
sure.
I'm not worried about it. I'm still not worried about a placement. I was talking to my coach about that this week. She's like, "Are we doing scaled or intermediate?" And I'm like, "Well, it depends if there's handstand walks because I'm not going to learn those between now and then. So if there are no handstand walks in the intermediate, I'll do that instead of the scaled division because I really don't want to do the scaled division. Like and no offense to people that do the scaled division, it's just like I feel like I'm
That's
more
not where you're
advanced
at
in that.
right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't do handstand walks, and I'm not going to learn them. I refuse to.
Oh, you
Um,
refused to because I was like, I bet if you put your mind to it, you could.
well, not in 9 weeks. I certainly couldn't get proficient in them in 9 weeks. And truthfully, like as many shoulder problems as I've had, I feel like I'm
Mhm.
pushing it enough
Yep.
to say I'm willing to do muscle ups and some of the other things that I do, wall walks and all of that. So it's I don't know. It's nothing I want to work on, but
Got it.
I am excited to go out and do it and give my best effort and see how it goes. It'll be
Yeah.
fun. And more than that, I'm really excited about being prepared for the open because
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been fully prepared for the open, and I feel like I'm prepared for it now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Yeah.
The open has a way of exposing things you weren't prepared for. So
That's the truth.
I'm cautiously optimistic for what this open season, and it'll be Boz's first full. Like I know he had, did it last year, but everyone suspects a lot of that was still Dave's programming, and so I'm be interested to see, what Boz's take on the open looks like.
Yeah, for sure.
I bet it's
Yeah.
harder.
I bet it's hard. I bet it's creative or creatively classic.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that there's like a simplicity to Boz's programming. I mean, of course, he can get crazy, right? He can like come up with a whole capital event. He can come up with like whatever the double under, single under, triple under, insane like crossover situation. But I also think that like there's no one more OG than Boz. So to come up with something just like beautifully simple, I think would also be very much his MO.
Well, and now with some of the rules changes, I think it lends toward it being more classic because last year they would allow you to judge off site, and now it has to be done in an affiliate. I think I have that right. Is
I'm
that
not
right?
sure. I maybe I don't.
I
I'm
think
not
so.
caught up on the rules.
I'm
I
I'm
did
almost
see.
positive I'm right about that. Like that was a big point of contention last year that they're like, okay, you'll let any asshole judge these things, and they're not being
Yeah,
judged in affiliates, and so that was hurting affiliates. You know what I mean? Like you're basically pushing people away from affiliates for the
yeah,
open by doing that. And
yeah.
that rule
That's
change
interesting.
pushes people back in. And so having, actual gym owners, judging people's workouts a big deal.
Invalidating. Yeah. I do think that there's something to accessibility and the accessibility of the past couple years where it's been hard sometimes, especially with the
Yeah.
pandemic, for people to get into a gym. But yeah, I respect the choice now as things are changing a little bit to try and bring people back into our affiliates and regulate for sure. I did see something. I bet you can explain it because I don't fully understand it. But did you see the whole like kind of like seating point system
Mhm.
update and how it's like sort of more like tennis or golf, but I don't follow either one of those sports, so I don't fully have a great understanding of what that means. Can you explain it?
Probably not very well.
Okay.
I saw it. I gave it like kind of a half a read, so I'm certainly not the expert on it. Until I go to Morning Chalk Up or Barbell Spin or one of those guys and get the full details. But like in golf, as an example, you get points for different things, and so the more points you accumulate, the higher you're ranked. That's like a very generic way of thinking about it. So
Right.
imagine, as
Okay.
an example, if you're whoever, let's say you're Justin Medeiros, you get X number of points for winning the Rogue Invitational if that were part of the season, you know, or you get X number of points for whatever they're assigning points for. And the more points you get, the higher you're ranked. And then the people that are ranked higher will get invites, you know. Um, it's just a better way of looking at the sport. It's certainly more fair when you start to think about, these athletes coming from all over the world. And in some cases, Australia only gets a couple of spots. Africa gets like one. It's like it feels unfair when you may have more athletes there that could get ranked, because of this. So I don't know.
Right. And
Again, I'm not fully versed on it. I know there are plenty of others out there, but I think it's a good indication that they're really starting to think about the sport as an actual sport, like some thinking of it differently than they thought in the past. And as long as they stay consistent with it, I say give it a shot. That their big problem for years has been they do something for 1 year and then they change it the next year,
yeah.
So
Yeah. And I'm sure they'll get that feedback again with these
yeah.
updates. Be like more changes, but if these are the ones that hopefully are around to stay, then obviously they have to be made.
Well, if the temperature of the fans is any indication, best I can tell, most people think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I've seen like very good reception as well. Because from what I understand, they'll use those worldwide rankings to determine which are the most competitive regions. And then they will use that data to determine how many qualifying spots come out of each region. I think I got that right.
Yeah, well,
So,
I think that would be fair. I mean,
yeah.
particularly when you look at, in the past, they've said, all right, well, North America has the most affiliates, so they get the most spots, and that's not always the fairest thing to do when you look at podium winners and like damn near every woman has come from Europe,
Right.
or Australia, thanks to
Mhm.
you.
Right.
So, you know, competitiveness and who has the most people are two totally different things,
Yeah,
you know?
totally. So I think that's interesting. And then I also think it's very interesting that like if you're a rookie, you really need to like you come in at the bottom of the totem pole. Like you start going to comps and start earning your points and start whatever. And there is definitely like an advantage to having a little bit of longevity in your career. That's kind of cool.
I hope it'll, spawn off some other stuff. Like if you look at PGA, for instance, these guys work to get their pro card. They have to do a lot of tournaments to get their pro card
Hmm.
and to get out there and actually compete in the PGA. And,
Yeah.
it's an interesting concept to say that, maybe this sport should be similar to that. Instead of, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure there are going to be plenty of rookies that come in year one and have a shot at the podium, but
Yeah.
to give someone the ability to get in and get your pro card and, do a bunch of events and earn some money, it's a good thing,
Yeah.
assuming the events can actually pay the athletes. That's, you know,
Yeah.
kind of the other problem lately. Seems like, several of these events are going belly up and not paying people. So
It's crazy to me. It is bananas. And it's crazy too that there's no like safeguard. Like if I had competed, if I had like sold my soul for a weekend and like just went through this insane physical and mental struggle to like get on the podium and I'm owed money and then the
right.
company or the organization or the event was just like, yeah, sorry, we don't have it. Like I would be like, can I sue your ass?
Well,
Like
you
I don't
could.
know how it works,
Well,
but
there's
I
a
don't.
safeguard. They're not using it. I've said this forever, Nikki. The athletes need a solid union that's going to bat for them, and a union
Mhm.
would go to these event organizers and go, "No one's competing unless that money's in escrow." And
Huh.
that's the problem. The money's not in escrow. These guys are putting on these events and going, all right, we're going to offer an X amount of money for a purse. And then they're counting on people showing up to pay for
Correct.
that purse. And the problem is nobody goes and watches competitive CrossFit. Like I was
Right.
watching the Rogue Invitational, which is one of the best run events on the planet on TV or on YouTube, and the place was half empty.
Right.
And it's a minor league baseball stadium. We're not talking about a 50,000 seat stadium. We're talking about a 10,000 seat stadium. And it's like
Yeah.
they're expensive events to put on. People don't show up for them.
Yeah.
The
No, I
only thing they show up
agree.
for is the games. That's
I
it.
agree. But the flip side of that is none of these events would happen then because every event does that. Every event, like, forecasts out how many tickets they're going to sell at this price, and they're going to be their overall earnings, and this is what they get from sponsors or from vendors, and that's how they determine like what they can afford as a price
Yeah.
purse. So if the requirement was the money in escrow, we wouldn't have events.
Well, Wadapalooza sells out. So
That's
I think
true.
I
Yeah, so
think
does Granite. Granite's always super, super busy.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something to be said for location and quality of the event, and Wadapalooza is a great example of one that's a high quality event. They do a lot of fun stuff there. It's in Miami,
Yeah,
and it's in
yeah.
January, so people want to go there in
Want to
January or
go, yeah.
February.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, I did a video for the bottom line for Morning Chalk Up, Lauren's little like short videos that she runs.
Yeah,
And the whole crux of the video that I was on was how do we bring more people to events? And that was my main answer. It was like, we need to have more activities, more
mhm,
interaction, more whatever available for the people who attend that's not just like
yeah,
sitting and watching the events because they can do that on from home. And I personally feel like as part of the broadcast, we do a really nice job
yeah,
of showing them what's happening at home. So like the only thing that's going to bring them there is like a once in a lifetime type. Like you can only do this when you're here. And Wadapalooza does that with things like the gauntlet, which you
yeah,
can't do from home. You can't participate like that from home. And I think like having events, having meet and greets, having opportunities to like get in front of, I don't know, athletes they love or brands they love or something along those lines, like winning stuff. Like there's so many ways to rally the troops and get interactive and get fun in the
yeah.
community. We got to do more of that.
Yeah, I think you either have to like Wadapalooza's, not only do they have the gauntlet, which is cool, but then, they let a lot of everyday people actually compete, qualify and
Yeah.
compete. And that's really unique. Teams, people, just everyday athletes, all age groups, adaptive, like they cover the entire spectrum of functional fitness. And it's in Miami. So it's kind of a big win. I got laughed at once. I forget what show I was on. And said this that I think these events should be more like minor league baseball games. Dizzy bat
Yeah.
race. Like you got to bring two people out of the crowd. They did this in Vegas that year at semis, and it was cool. Where you bring people out of the crowd and you put them on assault bikes for 30 seconds. So you let them all compete. I mean, everyone in the stands looks like they're ready to compete anyway. They're all wearing booty shorts and shirtless. Like send their asses
Fact.
out there, make them do something.
Fact.
Let them win something. Like that's fun. People like to see it. It's
Yeah.
interesting. You know.
Yeah, I agree. No, I fully agree. That was a really good analogy. I hope I wasn't the person who laughed at you the first time you said that because that's exactly what I was thinking when we were doing that episode when I was like, we've got to have more interactive opportunities. I was thinking to myself, like, I'm the only one of the only people I know that like really likes going to a baseball game and watching a baseball game because baseball is my favorite
Yeah.
sport. But like my husband hates it because he thinks it's boring. But if we go to like a Pats game, like a football game, like the arena is so much bigger and there's so many more
Yeah.
things there. And there's like restaurants and there's a shopping center and there's like activities and things to do during the game
Mhm.
in the stadium. And he loves that. And that's what I feel like we need more of.
All the major sporting teams do this. Like the, NBA is a good example where, during breaks, you've got the dancers out there and they're shooting t-shirts into the stands and little basketballs. And at halftime, they're, shooting half court shots for 10 grand. And,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you can't tell me you couldn't figure out a way to do that all day long at these events and keep people engaged, you
Yeah.
know?
Games does stuff like that. There's always like things
Yeah.
to watch and other things happening. I mean, in games obviously has like usually two events happening at once depending on what division you want to watch. So
Yeah, but these, the others just don't, and I think that's part of the issue. They're like, all right, well, we'll just put a vendor village up, and people be willing to walk around and look at stuff, and it's fun for about 30 seconds, and then once you've once you've seen all the little nutrition companies and the two jump ropes that are being sold, you're kind of done. You know, all the
That's
all the
interesting.
all the goofy T-shirts. You know.
It is interesting to think about what else could be, what other brands could be involved in that vendor space
Hmm.
that are more experiential. Like, have you ever seen at games how like the army usually sets up like a kind of like
Yeah,
an obstacle course kind of thing?
yeah,
Yeah, I
yep. I
wonder
love
if
that.
there's some like adjacent sport brands or things that we could bring out even into that vendor village area that usually already exists at these events that is just more experiential.
Yeah, I think there's a lot. I mean, but what you're talking about here is like a real coordinated effort for these
Mm,
individual events that aren't even connected to each other. Like, Loud and Live runs 5 or 6 events, so they could pull this off. But when you think of like Can West or the European Championships, that I'm assuming they're solo events. I don't know, what else they run.
yeah.
It's hard when it's not a fully coordinated season by one group like
Yeah.
CrossFit themselves.
Yeah. It's also hard when we're like, get more stuff, offer more things, but these events are like, well, we already don't have the money to like run or pay people. And
Well, the very first step is put your money in escrow. Like, don't offer something you cannot actually pay. Like, I did like what Rogue did by saying, here's the price purse, but if more people come, the price purse will go up.
Cool.
I think
Yeah.
that's fair. And they could all offer that. They could have said at the European Championship, and I don't know what they were paying, but you could have said first prize is 500 euros or 500 bucks or whatever. But if 10,000 people show up, we're going to raise it to 5,000. Like that would be fair. And then as an athlete, you're taking the gamble that people are going to show up, and that's on you, not on the event organizer.
Yeah. I will say just to put a different thought on it, I think the messaging of something like that needs to be sensitive because I don't think that spectators should feel that the onus of the athletes getting paid is on them. And I think that I got the sense of some of the drama that's been happening that the event owners were like kind of like that, like, well, if more people showed up. And it's
Oh,
like
and yeah, I'm with you.
it
Yeah.
can't be like I can't, as a spectator and a fan of the sport, like I can't feel like this is my fault for not going or not buying a ticket or not being able to afford it or whatever it may be. So it's just that's the other side of the
I think all
coin.
these guys are just biting off more they can chew,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
part of it is like as a society, it was funny as when I was watching the Rogue Invitational online, people bitching about this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, this is free, y'all. Like, none of you had to fly to Austin and watch this.
yeah. Right.
Rogue could have easily given you all the finger and just done a live event and not simulcast any of this stuff and been just fine. Like
Mhm,
we've all gotten so used to everything being live stream that we don't go to events anymore. And
mhm,
to be honest, like I wanted to go to Rogue, but I kind of thought that. I'm like, why fly? Like, why spend the money? I can watch it at home for the
mhm,
same experience. So I think there is some of that, that I think the event organizers need to be thinking about.
mhm.
Like if
Yeah.
you live in, here's a good example of it. If you live in Cleveland, you can't watch the Cleveland Browns unless you pay for it. It doesn't, you have to have cable. Like
Mhm,
it's just the way it works. You have to have cable if you want to watch it, or you can go listen to it in your damn radio. So I don't know. There's a lot there. I just want to make sure. I just want to see athletes get paid when they say they're going to get paid. That's
I
for me. That's the
agree.
big crime out of all of this. Is like, man, these guys work so hard, and they stand on the podium with that big, gigantic check that turns out to bounce. Like,
And when they paid their way to get there and they
oh,
paid,
it's so
their
bad.
careers cost them so much money. Like it costs so much to, John, because you're training for an event. Like it costs good money to like take care of your body and have the right coaches and eat the right foods. Like I just feel bad. Like they have so few opportunities to earn back some of what they spend, and it
When it's
breaks
not
my
even that
heart.
much that they're earning. That's the real thing. It's
That's
like,
true. Yeah.
like even if you're winning, for events like that, it's not Rogue paid a lot, but if you're not in first, even at Rogue, it's not a ton of money.
Right. Right.
Especially after tax. Everybody's like, "Oh, it's 50 grand." No, not after taxes. You know,
Right.
it's a lot less than that after taxes. And, while even half at 25 grand after taxes sounds like a pretty decent amount of money that I wouldn't turn down, you're not living the rest of your life off of that.
No.
You spend that money pretty quick. And a lot of that money is spent, to your point, on physical therapists and equipment and food and everything else,
Travel.
hotels, travel. Yeah, yeah. It's
It's
crazy.
not
It's a
an easy
crazy
one.
world.
Yeah.
Crazy world. Have you found out, are you going to Wadapalooza? Do you know or no?
Yeah, so my plan, I mean, you know me, I don't like to say yes definitively until like my contract is signed and my plane
Mhm.
ticket is booked because stranger things have happened and I
Sure.
have seen things turn around at the last minute. But my plan right now is to be there, and hopefully I'll be working.
So we get to have our kettlebells and cocktails party.
Our kettlebells and real life cocktails.
Yes, real cocktails. So for people that listen, if you DM us, we'll get you in. We're gonna have an actual cocktail party in Miami at Downtown Strength. It's gonna be
Yep.
fun.
It's
I don't
happening. You know what? I told Matt because I haven't heard 100% yet whether or not, what is happening with the broadcast or whether or not I'll be on it, but I told Matt a few weeks ago after you recommended this, I was like, I'm going. I'm going to Wadapalooza. Like, I haven't heard if I'm being hired yet, but like Matt has traveled twice already, like for fun, like visited his cousin in Chicago, like went to Vermont with his college friends to drink beers and like taking trips. And I was like, it's time. Like, I'm weaning from breastfeeding. Like, I deserve like a short 4 or 5 days away, like leave the responsibilities of family behind and like have a trip to myself and do fun CrossFit things and either like just hang with you or maybe I'll get hired and whatever. Like I'm gonna go and I'm gonna go myself and it's gonna be like my thing. And the second the words came out of my mouth, I instantly was like, but it would be so much more fun if you guys came with me.
exactly.
So no matter what, I'm planning on coming and doing our real life cocktail hour. But
Great.
whether or not I'll be working is still TBD, and whether or not Matt and the baby will be with me is also
All right.
TBD.
Well, it's gonna be a fun time either way. They wanted us to do the podcast tent down there.
Let's
They
do
have, they
it.
have a much better booth. So I'll reach back out to them and ask them to tentatively put us in, and we'll do at least one episode. All
So, question: Are you gonna like gauntlet and then like party when you're done?
around.
Because you know how you always joke about how like at the CrossFit Games after party, there's like those athletes that never drink and then they have like one margarita and then all of a sudden they're like panties are on the floor or
Right.
whatever. That's gonna be you.
No, I'm a pro. I actually, when we were in Columbus over the weekend, I was out with my coaches and we had tequila that night. We were drinking. And for the record, I beat both of my coaches in Chad, beat them both.
Whoa.
I
Okay.
soundly beat them to the point where one of them turned to the other and were like, "Is he done?" And they're like, "Yeah, he's done." And
Ugh.
so we went out drinking. Jen, who says to me, she's like, "Well, you beat me in chat, so I'm gonna outdrink you." I'm like, "Girl, I'll outweigh you by like 50 pounds. You got no shot at outdrinking me, no shot whatsoever." And I was right; she had no shot.
Oh well.
And I had a lot of tequila, and I was fine the next day.
You were?
Yeah, I was fine. Like I know, like I'm still a pro, Nikki. I know how to drink. You drink
I
tequila and
know.
soda, and that's got water in it, and then you take little breaks here and there, and cut yourself off at some point. You're good.
That's true. That's all true. But if you take a period of time where you haven't been drinking as much, it can get messy. That's
It
all
hit
I'm
me
saying.
quick. I won't lie. It did hit me quicker than I thought, but I was fine. So I'm not worried about it. I'll be
Cool.
fine. But I mean, it's 9 weeks from now, and I'm not, drinking a ton between now and then. But I will drink some. Like just, here's my rule. Here's, as a matter of fact, I was working on a podcast episode last night with a buddy of mine, and he was here at the house, and he had messaged me. I'm like, "Hey, are we drinking during this thing?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, of course." I'm like, "Great, I got to go get some booze." So I went and bought a bottle of tequila, and we had a couple of drinks while we were doing it. And as he was leaving, I'm like, "Take that bottle with you." And he's like, "What?" I'm
Mhm.
like, "Get it out of my house. Like, I do not want it in the house." And that's really the trick for me. Like, I don't, if it's not here, I won't drink. I won't go get it. I won't go
Yeah.
somewhere. I'm perfectly happy with these non-alcoholic beers and
I like them.
hot water. Yeah, it's all fine. I don't need it, and I feel better in the morning. So, like, as long as it's not in the house, I won't drink. And that's really kind of I think what my long term strategy is going to be. It's just don't keep booze in the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
My problem is when I want something, I will like physically leave my house to go. Like I had wanted ice cream for like 2 or 3 days, and we had just like gross Halo Top in the fridge, which is just not. It's not good. None of it's good.
the caramel's
And
pretty good, for the record. I think.
I couldn't find a single flavor this past fall. Like I tried all the pumpkins. It's just gross.
Right.
And I like left. I was like, I'm going. Like I'm on my way home from the gym. I was like, I'm not coming home. I am going by the ice cream shop and I'm getting myself. And Matt was like, don't bring me any. I mean, he can only have sorbet anyway.
Oh,
But oh my God, wait, can I tell you a funny Matt Dairy story?
yeah, of
It's
course.
really not funny for his guts, but it's hilarious for me to say out loud. So, and he doesn't listen to the show, so it's fine. So, you know how he's like highly, highly allergic to dairy?
Right.
Last weekend, I was painting the chicken coop and he was inside with the baby. And I was like, texted him and I was like, hey, like, let's order a pizza. There's a place in town that makes like a really bomb pizza with vegan cheese on it. It's like so good that like
Right.
oftentimes we'll just order it and I'll split it with him because it's that good.
Yeah.
And he was like, cool, yeah, I'll order one. And so he ordered it and we like ate and had a beer and watched the Rogue Invitational actually on YouTube. And like we were done eating and he just like all of a sudden he was like, oh my God, and looked at me. And I instantly knew what happened. I was like, you did not order yourself a vegan pizza, did you? And he was just like, I ate 4 pieces. Oh
Oh man.
And I was just like, men are totally helpless. We're like, it's like the one time out of 99,000 times that I'm not the one like ordering the
Right.
food or asking the waitress to make sure that it doesn't have dairy or whatever. Oh, poor guy.
Oh, I love it. Well,
He ordered himself a cheese pizza. He ordered himself a cheese ass pizza.
I hope he ate it in the bathroom because I'm sure it's where he was for the next few hours.
Yeah.
I
I'm
uh
sure he did.
I'm not like I don't have any plans to prohibit anything food wise or
Oh,
alcohol wise. Like that's the one thing I told myself through all this. Like as much as I am like really dialed into the nutrition piece of it, I also don't want to live my life in this state of, oh, I can't have that. Oh, I can't do
right.
this. Like that sucks. Like
Yeah,
mentally, that's terrible.
for sure.
What I have done that I would encourage others to think about is like because I'm tracking so much, it does make you think about better choices.
For sure.
So like I was putting stuff in tonight and thinking, I thought to myself, I wouldn't mind ordering a pizza or something. And as I was looking to kind of look at my numbers, realizing tomorrow night I'm going to have a huge meal with my daughters and eat whatever the hell I want. And I'm like, I'll stick with my chicken and rice tonight because it's
Yeah.
not much of a sacrifice to do that. Like I like it. It's fine. It wasn't what I was craving, but I'm going to have something awesome tomorrow night.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just about making better choices. That's
I
it.
agree. Yeah, and developing solid habits. Like
Yeah.
once you it kind of sucks to like force yourself to stick with it, but again, short-term goal, it makes total sense. And then all of a sudden you have like these really solid habits that you've forced yourself into for long enough that you not only do you know and understand what a portion is, what a good serving is for yourself, which I feel like is
Mhm.
half the battle. If you've never really like counted or tracked, you're like, what do you mean I can't have this entire vat of peanut
I
butter?
know.
Weird. But then also, like you said, like you get so used to it habitually that it's like, oh yeah, I do want that and I will have it this weekend. That's okay.
Yeah. And I do, but I do skip a lot of stuff. You just find things to substitute that aren't as good, but don't make you miss things less. Like ice cream. I love ice cream. Love it. Right now I'm eating a lot of Greek yogurt.
Yeah.
It's just
Yep.
way better, for you. It's got a lot of protein, very low fat, and as much as I love ice cream, like that's my trade-off. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll have my Greek yogurt. It helps me
Yeah.
hit my protein goals and I feel better. So it's fine.
I give Hunter a lot of Greek yogurt.
It's awesome. But
Yeah.
when I'm in Miami, I'm hitting the French pastry place down the street from the venue, and I'm eating a bunch of
Mm.
croissants and all the chocolate covered croissants. I can't like I'm already picking out all my food. I'm gonna drink plenty of margaritas or whatever the Cuban drinks are down there and just kill it. It's gonna be great.
So fun. Oh, I'm stoked. It'll be
Yeah,
really
me
nice.
too. And I'm excited about our cocktail party.
I'm too. That's gonna be really nice. I'm like, I feel like I haven't like seen or felt or been around like real life CrossFitters in a really long time. Even like I even feel that way just because I haven't been going to the gym as much lately. So it's nice to like have it to look forward to.
Yeah. No, I get that. Well, you'll be past this season of life before you know it,
True. It's true.
until you have a second one, then you're screwed.
Ah, man, that's gonna be wild. In the like chronicles of my kid still doesn't walk, which is totally fine and normal. He's just like the last of all of our friends. So I keep being like, when is this going to happen already? Um, Today, and people say that it happens like that, right?
Yeah,
Like it just all of a sudden one day he walks. Today, all of a sudden he decided that he could stand on his own completely. So like you'll just like put him down and he'll just like stand there. He won't like take steps away
right.
from you, but he'll just be like, oh yeah, but as if he's been doing it forever. It's like, what the really? Any day now, I'm telling you.
Yeah. Well,
Day.
so how old is he exactly?
15 months.
Yeah. So Mira didn't walk till 18 months, if I remember
Yeah, he's
right,
got
and Meg walked at 9. It's like
it's so variable. Yeah. I mean, there's literally like no reason to be concerned or anything like that. And I'm not. It's just, I have a bunch of girlfriends and we all had kids right around the same time. And he's like, they're all at the same age. And he's like the last one to walk. So I just keep being like, man, I wonder when is that going to happen for us? And it's right around the corner. I can feel
those big ass dogs of yours. I'm surprised he doesn't pull up on them and walk around with them.
he pulls up on them and he crawls all over them all the time. He just
Yeah.
doesn't take them steps on his own.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
don't,
He does everything else that all the other kids do. You know what I mean? Like he does all the bringing home the germs that all the other kids
right.
have. Yeah, he gave my whole family norovirus.
Oh, nice.
I did take myself to the ER. It was so bad.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't miss the Jeremy time, to say the least.
it's the worst.
I know.
It's the
Well, yeah,
worst.
look, it passes quick, and what are you gonna do? You just gotta get through it.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
Well, it's exciting stuff. Well, I'm excited about Miami for us. It's gonna be fun. First time
Ooh.
together. We didn't get a podcast together. Did we podcast in Miami together last time?
No, we have not. I don't think we've podcasted like off site together since the Under Armour thing.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. So that's exciting. That'll be fun.
Yay.
Our first live appearance. We'll have to get some actual
Yay.
photos taken for once.
Oh my gosh, can we do that? Can we like say it out loud? Like sourcing Miami photographers right now. Like
Well, I know like half a dozen of them. It's like getting photos taken is never the problem. We just never seem to get it done. So
we're
we'll
gonna
make it
get it
happen this
done.
time.
We're gonna totally get it done. Do you know how they like structured the competition differently this year? How it's
Mhm.
like individuals first and
Yep.
then teams second. And so like
Yep.
and individual athletes can then go team. Like the fact that they're not happening stacked, I feel like is gonna give us a little bit more free time.
Oh,
As a
for sure.
spectator, like watching and if I end up working, like I hope that that'll give me more free time too.
Yeah,
So
for sure. All right. Well, I'm excited now that I know you're coming. I can't wait.
Ooh.
I will get to work on our t-shirts and
Oh,
I'll reach out to Tupood and send some files.
yeah, 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 yeah. Let's do
Get
it.
those made. All right, cool. Well, this has been fun as always.
Yeah.
Dean came by to visit. He heard your voice. He's right here. Hey, buddy.
Oh, he's a handsome boy.
Oh, he's a jerk.
Oh.
Don't butter him up. Anyway, all right. Well, good luck getting that kid to walk. Again, tell Matt thank you. I know
He
every
will.
minute with me is time away from everything you have going
It's fine.
on. So,
He doesn't mind. He uses it as an excuse to watch TV without me.
I'm on it for Christmas. I'm gonna give him a big block of cheese. It's gonna be great.
He'll be like, "I will eat this." Wait a minute.
Exactly. All right. Well, good seeing you. For everyone listening, appreciate you guys joining us. We'll try to be back next week if we can get it arranged, and we'll chat with you guys.